Hey guys, it's Matt. This is another episode. God damn it! Forgot to pull the damn plug again. Sorry. Hey guys, it's Matt. Welcome back to another episode of Midnight Reality. This Mac should be studied by Apple, and how through different weird workarounds, pulling plugs and pushing them back in, loading programs in a certain sequence like opening a combination lock, you can fix the sound card issues. Matt, why don't you just get in there and fix it like any tech would? I don't know how to open the back of this thing. I don't know a damn thing about that stuff, but I've learned how to fix it by opening and closing programs in sequence, and it's just ridiculous. I should record it sometime. Sorry. Let's get back to another very SERIOUS episode of Midnight Reality. Before starting, though, guys, I just want to mention this one thing briefly. We lost electricity again this morning. Another transformer blew up down the road. It's a beautiful day. There's no issues at all. Just boom! Everything goes down. The electricity goes down. Now, they have improved it dramatically from when I used to complain about it. I used to say that living up here on Valley Hill Road was probably similar to living in western Baghdad, but that no longer applies. I'm sure the electricity in Baghdad is very solid and reliable. I have to equate it more to certain parts of Yemen that's still being attacked by the Saudis, but it's much, much better. I talked to somebody that works for Pico, that's our electric company, and they did some things, and it's much, much better. So even if there are issues in western Baghdad, we're improved from that, and you haven't heard me complain about it for quite a while. But the story I wanted to tell you is this. I'm watching Gouda, that's Pam's cat, so I have 3 cats here. So everything goes down. Vump, I have a well, so you lose water. Whatever you have left, you may get one flush. I don't mean to be gross. You get a little bit of water, whatever's left in your little tank in the house. But then you think, okay, how many did I leave all the cat plates out there that need to be washed? And did I keep my reserve water? I usually keep 5 gallons reserve. Like, that should be there. Okay, I think I have a reserve water. So you start thinking about all this stuff, and it takes 10 times longer to do everything. And how long is it going to take to restore? Am I going to be able to put the video out today? All this stuff. Now here's part 2 to this story. If any group has been exposed to end of the world videos and cataclysm and reset and all the fear stuff, it's our group, our community. The truth researchers in general. No matter what grade you are at now, you went through that fear addicted period where you watched 1,000 videos about the end of the world, Armageddon, prepping, economic reset, collapse, all that stuff. We all have to go through it. And as you get closer to the 12th grade or graduate truther level, you see that pretty much everything that happens here is scripted. We live in a gigantic reality script in terms like Black Swan event, something that just comes and nobody could have foreseen it. That's maybe impossible, but if not extremely rare in this scripted reality. So yeah, there could be an economic collapse, but then you planned it. They storyboarded it 20 years ago or 30 years, whatever it may be. So when you see it's scripted, I don't know, like a lot of the fear goes away, but nevertheless, it's been built in, okay, because we spent so many years. Now, here's what happened. Cleaning get a little bit of water pressure out of the sink, cleaning some cat plates. 10 minutes after the electricity goes down, I go out to throw the meaty pieces or whatever in the woods. I do that a lot anyway. You can't put anything down there's no garbage disposal because it's septic. Pieces of lettuce and meaty pieces that the cats we put it in a bucket, throw it out in the forest. It's good for the soil anyway. As soon as I go out 10 minutes later, in the distance, I hear this boom. Now, remember, it blew up down the road, and it's pretty dramatic when a transformer blows. I mean, it's boom. So 10 minutes later, I go outside to throw the meaty parts into the forest, and I hear this in the distance, a mile or 2 away, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, wait a second, what the heck? And then you start all the stuff that we researched, all the fear that we took in a way, came out very quickly. Oh, wait, maybe it's an AI attack and all the transformers are being blown out. And then, immediately I said, the Pennsylvania Turnpike is just right over a mile or 2 away. And they're constantly working on it. But I thought, 7:30 on a Saturday? Yeah, maybe. And when they widen bridges or whatever for the Pennsylvania Turnpike, that's the major highway that connects Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, a toll road. They promised that after the initial construction costs would be recouped, the tolls would go away in the late 70s. Oh, sure. Now it costs $35 to drive. It's about $35. So I haven't done it in years to drive from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh on this toll road. Anyway, they're always working on it. But I thought $7.30. Just for a while, I went explosions in the distance and thought, oh, maybe there's an AI attack and it's taking out all the transformers. You start to all the fear kind of comes back up. I say, okay, wait a sec. Let's go in the little Pico on the you can call the emergency line, and a lot of times they'll tell you, Philadelphia Electric Company, they'll tell you how many are affected. So I call the emergency line. I was going to report it anyway, not that they don't know immediately when a transformer blows up. And it says, I don't know, we are aware of the. I'm not going to do this. It's not the Stephen Hawking voice. It's a more pleasant voice than that. Stephen Hawking should have used the voice from the electric company. Affecting 200 and whatever customers. 200. It's local. It's not. I mean, if I were to call the Pico emergency line and it would have been beep, beep, like I couldn't get through. Oh no! All the AI is taking out all the transformers. So it was interesting what happened, folks. Again, it's a little odd to have your electricity drop because of an explosion. You go out to throw meaty parts away, and then you hear 3 or 4 explosions in the distance. Obviously, my electricity was restored relatively quickly. It was local, and that was them working at 7 whatever in the morning on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So, but your mind plays tricks on you, and all the fear that we ever watched, everything, it's still in there, and that's part of the work. That's part 2, the work. That and I was, immediately I suppressed it, and I realized where it was coming from, and I said, oh, well, let's call the line and say it's only 200 customers, and I didn't really think it was an AI attack and the whole Eastern Seaboard's going down, and it would become scenes like Escape from New York, and Snake Plissken would take over, and I'd have the Humongous Gang coming down my driveway by the end of the week. I didn't think that, but a little bit of that stuff started to creep in. It was very interesting what happened. I've lived here for almost 22 years at this point, and if you add up everything, I've been without electricity for about 2 months of that 22. That's a lot. I mean, I know people that live in apartment complexes or high-rise buildings. I mean, it'll go for 20 years. You might go down for a few hours one time in 20 years. So one time it was 8 days out, one time 7 days out. And when you're into your 4th or 5th day, I mean, it does get weird. And, especially you have no water, and your mind does play tricks on you. And every night you just sit in the dark with a loaded 9mm and a pack of Pabst Blue Ribbon, a 6-pack. And then your brain starts to break down a bit. And you do think the Humongous Gang is going to come down your driveway at some point. You don't realize it. You think maybe this isn't local. Is this what the Armageddon would be like? And Matt, there's been too much violence in the wasteland. Matt, we hear you have a good supply of chunky soup. Give us your chunky soup, Matt, and I'll spare your lives. Now, why are you saying spare our lives? It's your cats. I know there's cats in there. Oh, you want the chunky soup? You don't want nothing else? Just the chunky soup. I'll spare your lives. Okay, I'll give you the chunky soup. I don't want to mess with you, Mr. Humongous. Well, I was going to do a midnight reality today anyway. That's generally what Saturday is becoming. We just can't make fun of Terrence Howard all week long. I mean, that's funny from time to time, but have to be SCRIOUS from time to time. There's a lot of really hardcore reality things to talk about. Reality's melting down on one side, and it's wondrous on the other side. I wanted to talk again about the eclipse. Not what just happened, or the eclipse in general is such a monumental, gigantic reality giveaway. It tells you everything you need to know about the illusory nature of this whole place, the fakeness of this whole place. As it becomes more fake, you become more real. I mean, remember we talked about the pitch meeting when the Baphomet in Bill's poster as the master of ceremonies and all the things they plotted and planned on behalf of the Notnilk is in control of their frequency and their download. I don't think George Soros comes up with too much of this on his own. If there's something dark here in the shadows called Notnilk. But the big one in that meeting, how they would say maybe, it doesn't work this way, of course. There's no conversation where one dark creature talked to a Melvin who shared something with a Bezo. It just doesn't work that way, but that's the only way we can talk about it. So we'll float it like this. Like, how do we keep them from understanding what the eclipse really is? How do we keep these real spiritual beings from understanding what the eclipse really is? And then Melvin tried to speak. Hey, how are we gonna screw them? And then Melvin tried to shut up, Melvin. You're lucky you're allowed in here. Shut up. You be quiet back there, Melvin. If there ever was a meeting like portrayed in Bill's poster, a gaggle of monkeys and a Baphomet floating over. If there ever was a meeting where they exchange ideas, I mean, it just doesn't work that way. We know, but it's fun to talk about. We don't have no other way of talking about it. Their biggest concern, no doubt, would be how do we hide the nature of the eclipse? Let me just take a minute to talk to anybody that's brand new or somebody that may have stumbled upon this, because it's funny to think about. There's a few people that don't know what I'm talking about. Like they say, what hide what? It's everybody knows it's just the moon going in front of the sun. Hide what? What is this guy talking about? He sounds like he doesn't have his head completely up his ass, but it's the moon that goes in front of the sun. I mean, what? No, it's not. See, that's the thing. Anybody new? One guy from Skokie looking for cat videos. It's not a moon that you think you know that floats in front of us. It's not a rock that floats in front of a burning thing. To us at this point, that's ridiculous. Well, that's what science put. Well, yeah, I know that's what science puts forth. That's the whole point. It's nothing that one object that's gray thing that looks like a cat litter box that's perfectly smoothed out round. How did that happen? Like I've said many times, if it just formed the way that science says, it should look like a Chernobyl potato. How did it form perfectly round? Why does it look like a cat litter box? How does a cat litter box reflect light so bright that if you're like in a dark room, or you just go outside and it's a full moon, it's so bright you almost can't look at it directly if your pupils are completely dilated from sleeping in a pitch black room. You can't look at it. So yeah, a cat litter box is going to reflect the sunlight. So it's so bright. Why don't you go out back and shine a flashlight into your cat litter box? See how good of a reflecting device it is. It shouldn't. If it was this dusty stuff that Neil climbed down on his ladder, and then he almost forgot his lines. It was so pathetic. He almost forgot his dumb lines. Probably whipped out a 3x5 card at the bottom of the. Matt, he didn't go. You just saying he didn't go. He didn't go down no ladder. He did go down a ladder in the movie studio, of course. He said one small step. It was one small step for man in a movie studio, just like Anthony Kiedis said in Californication. Anyway, it's nothing you can land on. It's just nothing you can. Nothing no tuna fish can. No Elon Musk isn't going to be running around playing hopscotch up there someday. It isn't possible. The moon, the legend and lore, the moon is made of cheese. These are truth drops. It's not really made of cheese, but it's telling you it's something else. It's telling you it's not what science says. And then the sun, of course, it's the same thing. It's not what they say either. So it's not a rock floating in front of a burning thing, guy from Skokie. If that's what is presented in this reality, we know it's pretty much just the opposite of that. We don't know exactly what it is. All we need to know is it's a tremendous symbol to real spiritual beings that gives them clues about themselves and the nature of this reality. So back to, the minions and the Baphomet meeting with the gaggle of monkeys or the old money or whatever. But this would have been centuries and centuries ago, of course. And if we can hide the true nature of the eclipse from these poor devils, we'll really be doing something. We'll really be onto something. Hey, Melvin, if we can hide the true nature of the eclipse, we'll just tell it's just a moon flying in front of the sun. And see, when they watch the eclipse, though, and they put their little glasses on and shit, and they get in the totality, many of them have these emotional experiences, and they cry and they break down, but they don't really understand why. If it's just a rock, a floating cat box that's perfectly round going in front of a burning thing, then what's all the emotion for when it happens? It's just a cat box in front of the sun. It's just, people, oh my God, totality, Well, they're tapping into what it really is. And I don't think an NPC could have that experience. Maybe that might be the best NPC test in the world. Like, did Blade Runner Harrison Ford have a good test for replicants? He must have had something, right? Blade Runner 2047 or whatever is overrated. It really is. That movie can be slow at times, and it's everything else around it, I guess, is so horrible that it looks good in comparison. I think that's what's going on with Blade Runner 2047. Every time I just see Ken doll rounding up replicants in that movie. I can't watch it anymore because of Barbie and Ryan Gosling, is it? Yeah, sorry. So, you have a way to detect replicants, and I don't think an NPC of this world could have an emotional response during the eclipse. I think it taps into something very primitive inside of us. Although, a couple people screaming at me, you say, Matt, even your genius Tony talked about the NPC having a soul, and that soul being animated locally, or he called it the nature spirit. It's the soul being animated that from derived from this reality system itself. And maybe it would have an NPC would have an emotional response to the eclipse if it was tapping into where its root of where it came from. Yeah, maybe. I'll back off that a little bit. I was thinking only a real spiritual being that has a connection out of here. We say we're bigger than this place, means part of us not here, can have that sort of emotional reaction to the eclipse. But now that I'm thinking about it, talking it through, maybe it's just the opposite. Maybe, I think Greg's looked at it, and he's like, it was no big deal. It was nothing burger, whatever. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the NPC that breaks down and cries because it's seeing the root of itself where we, I'll look to your comments for this because I've never been in the totality. Do you feel like you want to break down, or it seems like the opposite spin on this may be more correct, that or somebody that's bigger in this place says, yeah, who fucking cares? Who can order me a Domino's pizza? Like, who cares? And does not have the emotional crying experience. Maybe that only comes from the NPC. So I don't think I've ever had a segment that started with me thinking one thing, and at the end of the segment, I've completely gone 180 with nobody talking back, just convinced myself that what I presented initially was wrong. What kind of psychotic two-personality Britney Spears is going on up there, Matt? I don't know, but I'll hold it together as long as I can. I will continue to relate what the eclipse should mean to a real spiritual being. Yes, you're one. You wouldn't be listening to this. I'm one. We don't know how many real people there are here. Somebody emailed me. I'm not sure if I have permission to use her name, her first name, so I will err on the side of not using it. She's convinced 3% here are real. Tony absolutely believed in the concept of the NPC. They have a soul. Yeah, they have a soul. But the soul's derived. He didn't like it when I would say locally, but I think it's a good way of putting it, from this place, from this realm. When we say real spiritual being, what that means to me is we're larger than this place. There's either a part of us that's not here, or we have connections that are way beyond here. We're not stuck here. This is a tiny little part for us. We're bigger than this place. We're not from this place. We're larger than it. And that's probably the best. We don't really know the details, but that's probably, in my opinion, that's the best way of saying real spiritual being versus an entity that's derived locally, or the soul is more attached to this place. So to our type of entity, whatever term you like, being of spirit or whatever, somebody said, Matt, don't use person. That's associated with the corporate fiction. I'm trying to get away from that, and the person's right. We should try to stay away from their word magic whenever we can, other than the no consequences people would laugh and say, let me tell you what, a real being of spirit, it doesn't matter if you say person or any other of their corporate fiction words. It's not going to bring you down. I don't think it would either, but anyway, probably try to stay away from it if I can. Whoever gave me that advice on person, thank you very much. So to a real spiritual being, it should be, when the eclipse comes, let's get back to what we were talking about. It should be like, and I've done this in the past, equated it to that Seinfeld episode where George, he strategically tells a joke, and somebody's convinced him, if the joke works, to get out, to leave the room, to end on a good note. So, Matt, I don't understand where you're going with this. Well, give me a damn minute. I'll tie the two together. You're tying the highest understanding of a spiritual being, maybe the highest recollection of a human in this entire reality, to a Seinfeld episode? Yeah, give me a minute. So George will, in a meeting, he'll tell a joke or say something funny, and he rarely gets a laugh, but he'll get a laugh. And that's it. I'm out of here. I've got a meeting. I'm out. And he'll just walk out, leave on a good note. Somebody's convinced him. So when the eclipse came to a real entity, somebody like us, a spiritual being that has connections way beyond this place, whether it be us a few months ago, whenever the eclipse was, or somebody hoeing their field in 1400 or whatever, it should be like, oh, Oh, okay. That's all I need to know. I'm out of here. That's all. Not that the person's going to walk out of the field and stop hoeing or doing whatever they're doing, but it should be enough to say, "Oh, I had like all sorts of conflicting thoughts as to what this reality is and my place in it, and oh, now that I see that, that's it. I'm out. It's all I need to know. It's all I need to see." They might, oh Matt, I can hear you screaming at me. They attributed to their god, or sure they did. The ancient Greeks attributed to Zeus or sorry Apollo pulling his chariot. It doesn't matter. But the real being, the eclipse tells you that this place isn't very real. And to the real being, that is not bad news. That's the best news of all time. If there's some weird construct, then you're larger than it. The worst case scenario would be like if everything was real, physical, the Big Bang and rocks and explosions and came from deep space and Marmot and Monkey Man. And that's the worst case scenario. The stranger it gets, the more it melts down, the more it's an illusion and not the Matrix in a pod, but the more it's an illusion, it's presented per Wayne's drawing. All of this for us, for our experience, the more it becomes that. And as it breaks down, you can see that's what it is. The creeps try to hijack it. They try to use it for their own means. So it should be like George and Seinfeld. I'm out of here. Told the joke. As soon as somebody could struggle their whole lives, they're out in the field with their oxen and they're plowing, and the eclipse happens. I don't think they could predict it back in 1400, but maybe they did. I don't know. And he either way, this guy, he didn't have no radio. He didn't know it was coming. So wow. That's all I need to see. I have a whole new perspective of this place. Great news, honey. This isn't very real. And we're spiritual beings larger than this place. Now, is it the greatest comparison in the world relating that to George telling a bad joke and leaving his office meeting? No, but you'll never forget it. Aha! That was Eddie Murphy as I can't even say it. The video won't load. He was in the barbershop playing the way. Aha! You'll never forget it. When you see George Seinfeld, you'll relate it to a real spiritual being seeing the eclipse. It was stupid, but if you remember, it's all that matters. Even dumb scenes in old movies were better than any good scene, a supposedly good scene in a movie of today. I think this is the ending credits, that character it's from not Trading Places, Coming to America. Eddie Murphy plays the old white guy. The ending credits, he's like, "Waiter, come taste the soup. What's wrong with the soup? Just taste the soup. What's wrong with the soup? There's no spoon." Aha. That stupid ass scene is better than any movie of today. Sorry. Well, the eclipse is all you need to see, ladies and gentlemen. And somehow, in their little Baphomet meeting, if we can get them to believe it's this, or well, what are we going to get them to believe when a comet comes? Oh, we're going to tell them it's this. And since it's predictable and it can come every 70 years or whatever, Halley's Bebop comet or whatever, we'll get them. These sons of bitches, poor devils, they'll believe in every bit of cosmological nonsense that we'll put forth, mostly because our math will line up to it perfectly. And the more these real spiritual beings believe in it, the more it will actually become a permanent part of reality. The math will get even more perfect. The presentation of the cosmological nonsense will get better and better because the reality affectors these people, and they believe in it. It makes it more real. They don't even know how important they are, these sons of bitches, poor devils, in molding. This is them doing in the gaggle of monkeys in the Baphomet meeting. These poor devils don't know how important they are in terms of the reality creation. We get them to believe our shit, then it will actually harden and cement itself into reality itself. And then they laughed like a gaggle of monkeys. Yeah, who's got a question in the back? Is that you, Melvin? Yeah, it's me. Melvin, should we let him ask the question? Yeah, let him ask the question. We don't let him participate. Anybody knew that's Bill Gates. Melvin, stand up. What we going to tell him about a comet with that trail? How are we going to lie to him about that? Oh, that's easy. You just tell these poor sons of bitches, that's a trail of ice. See, it's frozen fucking solid when it's way out there, but then when it gets close to the sun, then the ice melts or something, forms that big son of a bitch tail. But how does it? What? See, it's been happening for billions and billions of years. Go round and round, go round, 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 round. But so every single time it gives off an ice trail, wouldn't it run out of ice? The way somebody said, go to your freezer, Melvin, and I said, I'm out of ice. The ice box had no more ice. How could it keep giving ice out every day? Melvin, let us worry about that. Okay. That's what we're going to tell them. They're not going to consider it's happened billions of times and it would have run out of ice like you do at your lame Seattle parties. Now sit down, Melvin. You've participated for the decade. But I have many more questions. One more question, Melvin. How are we going to explain how Saudi Arabia fuels hundreds of millions of cars a day for 50 or more years? No well could do that for more than 6 months. How are we going to... We got that planned out, Melvin. You just worry about pretending to run Microsoft and pretending to be interested in Action Jacksonations and the AI. Leave the big thinking to us, Melvin. If we're ever pushed, we have things ready to present, but we're never pushed by these masses. These great unwashed proletariat dumb populations never push us for a real answer. If they did, we would say every single dinosaur, you see, they were all driven into the same pit. And they all died together. They were running away from that other fake story we told about that asteroid that hit. All the dinosaurs. Didn't you see that scene in Cold Mountain? It's a turkey shoot where they all ran into the pit. Every dinosaur in the world just died on top of each other. That's why all the oil's in one spot. And every single moth and a mosquito landed on top. All the organic matter in the world at the time was all laying on top of each other. Like the way you stack up burger patties in a Big Mac. That's what created all the oil. Melvin, you just leave the big thinking to us. Now back to what we were talking about the eclipse. Somebody may say, Matt, that's just awful wishful thinking from you and your ilk. Maybe the atheists would present this if they were taking the podium against me for Madison Hotels or something. The atheists would say, it's just as usual, you and your people wishful thinking. Oh, you're spiritual beings and you're bigger than this place. Oh, it makes you people feel so good. Oh, you could sleep so well at night telling yourself lies and stuff. So I would say back to them, okay, we all would agree, no matter what different types of entities here, we all agree that the eclipse is a pretty incredible thing. Now, I don't think it's a cat box moving in front of a bird, but so we don't believe it's that. We think it's a sign and symbol of this reality system. We don't think it's random, came from a big bang and that horse shit. We don't believe that. It's a sign and symbol of tremendous wonder that draws forth incredible primitive emotions and gets people thinking in ways they've never. It's an incredible experience. The totality we see that amongst all different types. So let me get this straight. You live in Davenport. If we're this little tiny thing, we're just some NPC of this realm, or atheists, we just go to the dust, and we're not bigger than this place. We're just these little ants, and we're just the animal. And what's this gigantic reality sign and symbol for? If we're just these little nothing things, and we're going to join you with the atheists, we're all going to go into the field in the back, and there's no spiritual life for us after. We're not larger than this place. What's the gigantic symbol for then? Just for we didn't get all dressed up for nothing. Is it doing it for nothing? No. See, it's not. It's so incredibly wondrous. It's the most wondrous thing in this entire reality system, times a factor of like 1 billion or 1 trillion. Okay. What's it for? What's it for? Well, even if somebody would say, well, the models. It was L.C. King that presents the model of that's how the sun and the moon recharge to keep this reality system going, or, it is more of a physical thing, how all the different components work together to create this. Okay, well, even if it's that, then so that whoever designed this place, if the sun and the moon are brothers from the same mother, they're the exact same size, of course. They recharge each other. The eclipse is a reset of whatever that power system is in this realm, whatever you believe there. That's still pretty wondrous to the millionth, trillionth power. What's all that for? Just because we're little ants, little atheist ants going into the dust, and we're not spiritual beings. What's all that? What's all this for? It gets back to Wayne's diagram again. All of this for us, and and I'm not asking Wayne to redo it or anything. He sent it to me, and I have it in the other room here, the drawing. But in a way, I'm not going to draw on top of the masterpiece that he's done either. But the eclipse. should be, maybe he's written Eclipse. I'm going to look. He's got little words written in him, all these little things. The Eclipse should also kind of be there. All of this for us. What's all the wonder? And how hard the Not Milk and its minions work to trick us, to get us to believe certain things. What is all this for if we're not vastly greater than this place? It's obvious. Nobody's telling anybody anything just to make people feel good, make you feel good. But we're bigger than this place. Don't cry now. Don't you cry. Don't cry now, little boy. You're bigger than this. No, we know we're bigger than this place. It's not delusions of grandeurs. It's freaking obvious at this point. Anybody doesn't have their head up their ass. So regarding the eclipse, I would think whoever designed this reality system or this realm has grown rather frustrated with most of us. Whatever your belief system is, monotheistic God, a gaggle of higher selves, whatever put this reality system together has grown rather frustrated. Now, I need two parties, one talking to the other as to what they maybe talked about when designing this reality. I don't mean to piss off the monotheistic religions, whatever that means, but one says to the other, like, we gave him the eclipse. We gave him the ultimate sign and wonder, and these sons of bitches still don't know who they are or won't even consider for a bit where they came from or that they're bigger than this place. And we debated putting the eclipse into that reality system. Remember way back when? And somebody said, yeah, I remember. We weren't even going to give it to him. And when we gave it to him, we thought, that's just a damn giveaway. That's like your math teacher doing a word problem. Johnny has 5 apples, whatever. And just underneath the word problem, it says, the answer is 5. So you don't even have to do the problem. The answers, it's like giving it away. We thought we were giving it all away. Oh, somebody over here said, don't put the eclipse in the reality system. That's giving everything away. They're going to, out of nowhere, the most incredible sign and symbol of all time is going to pop up out of nowhere while they're in the field with their oxen. This incredible sign is going to pop up out of nowhere, and then the whole thing is just given away. Why are we even making them play this game? And then it's incredible. We put these bad guys into that reality system to play a role. These Larry Silverfish minion types. Over time, going back through the Roman emperors and through Caligula, and over time, these are crafty sons of bitches we put in as the adversary in that reality system. They've convinced these people that what if they convince them of again? That it's a damn rock, a round rock. Like there's a river up there that smoothed it out or something, like a river rock floating in front of what do they call it again? A sun or a star. They've taken away, we thought we were giving it all away, the greatest sign and symbol of all time, and they've convinced them it's like a smoothed out river rock, like it looks like a cat box floating in front of what they call it again? A sun? Man, when we put the adversary in place there's that with Dark Not Milk thing, all its minions, maybe we gave them too much intelligence, too much evil genius. But per the terms and conditions, we can't intervene for another 1,000 years. Who knows? But the point is, whoever designed this reality, whether it be your God, your Jesus, whatever, is grown rather frustrated with these poor dumb devils that don't understand what the eclipse really is. So to summarize, we could start with the rule of opposites. If the authorities of this place tell you the eclipse is this, and, rock in front of a burning thing, we've been over that many times in this presentation, then you know it's not that. See, it works every time. What is it then? Don't we have to get to the bottom right now of what it really is? Well, in terms of what you're suggesting, no. All we need to know, it's a sign and symbol of this realm. And signs and symbols aren't not presented to little nobodies that go into the dust as atheists and aren't spiritual beings and are just nothing, nobodies. Gigantic signs and symbols are for very powerful spiritual entities. That's all you need to know. I mean, is there any other possible way to interpret this once you see that the eclipse is not just a moon and a sun and let's do the coincidence thing one more time. Oh, what a coincidence that what are they on? The ecliptic. Oh, they're on the ecliptic. So all these damn planets, these sons of bitches, Saturn, Moon, Mars, they're all going around on basically a flat plane. That makes perfect sense via the entropy of the Big Bang, when all this stuff going all these different directions. Somehow they just leveled out. Oh, I'm sure science has a way to explain that too, just like they have a way to explain everything. And they're going around the mountain. When they're going around on a flat like a plate. That's what the ecliptic is. See, nothing would get in front of anything if they were like all over the freaking place. Like, 4th of July is coming. When you put your firecracker on top of your rock or whatever, it just goes, boom, it goes all over the freaking place. That's entropy. That's chaos. That's what they tell us the Big Bang is. You don't light your firecracker on your rocks and just all of a sudden everything just goes and makes it makes a big smiley face at you, or goes in one little level plane. All the dust floats down like a paper plate. No, that's not the way it works. If the cosmological explanation is what they say, and then it all goes around in the same direction. Okay, if all the planets smushed down into a plate so one can get in front of the other, and you have planetary alignment and eclipses and all this, then some would be going the other direction. Well, Matt, that did happen, and they collided. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to shut the whole channel down. Okay, give me a break. Give me a break, sir. If I was taking the podium for Madison Hotels and somebody tries to give these scientific, cosmological answers that would come from Cambridge, Harvard, and the Ivy League and Oxford, I would say, sir, what you just said is the most idiotic, moronic explanation of how this reality system works that I've ever heard. I award you no points. The audience is worse off for having heard your scientific nonsense that you place in all these children's textbooks. And God have mercy on your not-nilk non-soul. Thanks for listening.